I am
Recording in progress.
recording. It is 7 p.m. and this is the March 11th meeting of the Village of North Bennington Board of Trustees. Lori Elwell Clerk has the list of those in the audience. Our first order of business is to ask if there is any additions or changes to the agenda. I'm not seeing any, so we will proceed. And Art Whitman, Mr. Whitman, you have the floor.
Here. Thank you for making time for me.
Of course.
So, 2 summers ago, summer of 23, the graduating class of North Bennington High School, 1963, celebrated their 60th reunion here. We had a get together and we ended up having fireworks up to Lake Perrin. Turned out to be such a success that we're all the time looking for ways to celebrate again. So our theme this year is that the class of 63 turns 80. So we're giving ourselves an 80th birthday present, a party, so to speak. It's going to be open to the public. We want the whole community to come and join us. There's going to be food trucks, live music, and fireworks that night. And so the reason I'm here is I need your permission for the fireworks people to use Welling Field to set off the fireworks, as they have in the past. So
I beg your pardon, I was letting people in. What date was this, Art?
July 26th.
July 26th. Will the field be in usable condition?
I think for that,
Okay.
it's not for playing, we'll have to, we'll meet up there. We'll like that. It's a good grant, we're gonna do that.
Well, I think that's
We'll find a spot.
marvelously generous of the class. Is there anything else that you might need of the village, or is there any other things that we could do to assist?
One of the things they asked for is that the fire department kind of help control traffic and to be available and that sort of stuff, so to help pick up. But I want to tell you, the last time we had it, I asked the fire department, and they're compensated. I make sure that they're compensated for it. I actually got a letter from the company saying that all the years they've been putting this on, they've never had a fire department work with them so well, clean up so fast, that they were just totally amazed. They said they've never had anybody that cooperated with them so much. And when I called them up this year to set the date, they knew just who I was. So,
Oh, it's wonderful.
yeah.
They've
So,
also been very good with the Lake Perrin fireworks. It's, it's a traffic and everything else, so I totally agree with you there.
so I just need they will send me the insurance policy once they receive this. I have to have the police chief.
Yes.
He has to sign it. So just one person, probably from the board. There are 3 places, but I think only two places are necessary.
You do that. So I think we would probably need the motion to approve use of Welling Field on July 26th for the class of 63's 80th reunion.
80th birthday.
80th birthday.
That's right.
Yeah. So I'd be happy to make that motion.
I'll second it.
Okay.
Matthew also did.
Matthew also did one.
Yeah, no, this- yeah, thank you.
So I'm seeing no other comment. Does any trustee have a thought or comment?
No, I think it's great.
No?
I think it's great.
Good.
And thank you for helping set up the field in the first place.
That's
So-
great.
You're welcome.
Okay, all in favor?
I,
Hey,
That went well. Thank you.
Are we
Wish all
going-
our business could
Are
be
we
that
going to
easy.
be looking at the design for,
Yes, we are.
I'd like to see that. So
Please do.
I will stay.
Let me give you at least a copy. And maybe we can move this in here. I've got
Thank you.
3 copies, so if anybody else needed to see it. Okay, so we will then move on to reviewing and approving the minutes of February 11th. Those have been sent a couple of times to trustees.
I'll make the motion to approve.
Second.
I had one
Yes,
typo,
okay,
very insignificant, under the highway report, on the second bullet point. Norm is saying there is a national salt shortage, but the village should read has sufficient supplies on hand. It just says HA,
oh,
Needs an S.
needs an S.
got it. Thank you.
Pending that edit, I second my second again.
Okay. Questions, comments? Seeing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Good, Matthew is still there. Okay. Now let's move along to the Doug, the warrants.
Yes. Okay, I have the payroll warrant first. Total of the payroll warrant is 15,609.58, and everything normal there. There was 2 pay periods. I kept the retirement the same as we had discussed. So there's nothing out of the ordinary here.
Okay,
I'll move the payroll warrant.
I'll second.
no other
Call the
questions?
question.
I know, I'm trying to do too many things. Sorry about that. Seeing no other questions, hearing no other questions, all in favor?
Aye.
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 Okay. All right. Doug, next one.
So I combined the late February and the March. There wasn't, it was kind of in between. So it is a longer warrant, but it wasn't a dollar amount wise. So it just made sense to fit it all onto one page there. So the total late February and March warrant is 42,112.88. There's really nothing out of the ordinary. The West Oil, you'll see there was 2 budget payments. I had missed putting it on at the earlier warrant, so I just doubled it up. And then you'll see the normal March payment on there for West Oil. The TAC electric in February, that was from the work at the firehouse on the water heater that we had discussed the last meeting, so that was that bill. The Cargill that's on there, that's Norm's de-icer. Obviously, there's several salt payments that we made. The Bennington County Regional Commission, that is actually 2 bills. The 5,000 is the normal amount, and then there was the 900 for work that they had completed. That was actually back from October. Somehow the invoice got missed. So that was taking care of that. And the MSK on this one was for Water Street calming. That's what this one was. So unless there's any other questions, that's what
I
I've
have
got.
a question.
Yep.
At the last meeting, we discussed the need to make some repairs to the water heater at the firehouse. And we were wondering, Ray and I were both wondering whether that shouldn't have been under warranty.
I'm not sure. Well, yeah. It's Tim Carpenter, right?
Yes.
TAC. So it's electrical work.
Oh, it's electrical. That was that failed?
That's the ventilator at the top of the stairs, I believe.
Oh, so this doesn't have to do with the water heater?
I don't think so. There was a motor to be replaced there because
Oh,
it
okay.
burnt out
All right.
due to the wiring in the ventilator.
Okay, it's totally different from the water heater.
I think so. even
Is the
though
water heater issue resolved? Doug?
I thought the water.
I believe so. Lori, do you know any different?
Yeah, the water heater issue has been resolved.
Okay, good.
So I have a question. Did we get, a payment from the state for the grant project on, Welling Road?
Yes, I think. Excuse me. Excuse me. Yes, that did come in February. I thought I had sent an email to you and Mary for that one. I can look back.
Yeah, I don't remember.
Yeah, if you could send it just with the digit that came and make sure it matches the paperwork I have it.
I think vaguely I recall that, but I couldn't.
Yep, no, that's fine. Yep, I can pull it up and I'll get an email out either tonight or tomorrow for you.
Any other questions on that warrant?
I'll make a motion to approve.
I'll second.
Any questions? Any other questions, gentlemen?
No.
Okay, hearing none, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay, I'm gonna sign these, we'll get these passed around and then I'll drop them off to Lori after that. Okay, now, I don't, typically we go to the highway report, but I do know that Doug is not feeling well. Doug, do you prefer to go now so that you can go back and rest?
I can, because I don't really have much else, other than the update for the audit. Auditors are scheduled to be here Thursday and Friday. We've already discussed and we've given them preliminary, so this will be their final set of field work, with the bank statements and things of that nature. They haven't asked for anything outside of that, so at this point, I would assume that it's pretty straightforward on their end, because, like I said, we uploaded a lot of stuff to their portal. That has really been what I've been focused on the last few weeks, is making sure that those records are ready for them. And I brought a bunch of stuff over the weekend, and I'll show Mary tomorrow where that is. And between myself and Mary for the village, and then they're also doing the water department, and Steve and Vicky and myself will also all be available for those. And like I said, that's pretty much been consuming me lately.
Okay. Okay, thank you. Well, feel better, Doug.
Thank you.
Thank you for popping on.
Absolutely.
Boy, we are just zipping along. Norm?
All right, so, we've had some trouble seeing our cameras at the park, and then we kind of got it.
Mary, we lost you. We lost the whole deal.
Can't hear anything anymore.
Yep, okay, sorry.
Technology, see what happens.
Yes.
Oh,
I was trying to move the owl closer to Norm and I mistakenly hit it off. Do you hear us now?
Yes.
All set, yes.
Okay,
okay,
Thanks.
so when they put in the printer, they stole our feed line for the park, for the cameras. You can see them in here, but we can't see them remotely anymore. So we gotta get that fixed.
Is this the Lions?
let's,
The Lions Park, that's correct. yeah.
let's talk to
Okay.
Doug about that
Yeah.
once
So
we get.
that's gotta get-
Why did you lose it? What happened?
When they put in the printer, they took our feed line.
I'm still here, Mary.
Oh,
I hadn't jumped off yet.
okay,
That's the internet guys that, we gotta work on getting it fixed. That's the internet guys that. we'll
Right,
get that
that's going to be e-enable, Mary. That's not the printer guys.
Yeah,
Yes.
but that's not the camera guy,
well,
right? So it's E-enable and the camera guy.
I know,
It's-
that's a longer discussion. We
Right, but
will
he-
get
he-
together and talk.
He has
about it.
half of our other things, so.
I know.
Anyway, we gotta get that straightened out,
Okay,
okay, so we can see that. I believe they do still record here, but we
Okay.
can't see it. So,
okay,
so there's that. Winter is, was bad us with a vengeance, as everybody knows. We're still actually waiting on one salt order. I called on it today, just to make sure it didn't get delivered to somebody else, because it's been so long. So you'll see at least one more salt bill, because once you order it, you can't send it back. So, but that's all right, we'll have it for next year. So, we're pretty decent there. The camper, we've done all the paperwork. We're waiting on a title to be issued to us, and then we're gonna get rid of that. So that's done. Moving on to Church Street, you can see there's stakes in the ground now where the new proposed pole location is. So if anybody wants to drive by and look at that, they can see. you know, once we get, past our annual meeting or whatever, you know, that's one of the first projects we're gonna start on this year. So we're working on our street sweeper now, getting it all ready. Cleanup this year is gonna be worse than ever for every community. Because we had to use sand in a lot of places, we've never used it before because of the salt source, so. It is what it is, we'll work on it, we're gonna start sweeping streets and sidewalks. Sidewalks, we really gotta wait for a rainy day, so it keeps the dust down considerably. So we're gonna hope for that, get that rolling along. So we have met with MSK a couple times, you have that picture, I don't know if you wanna hold it up to your owl so the world can see it. So the design is in a couple phases. The first phase would be on West Street, on the library and the park side. And basically what they're looking at is a mountable curb, pretty much like in front of the bank. So, as far as the truck traffic or anything that goes in and out of there, they're gonna drive right on it like they normally do. And that would push the sidewalk, out and up, and that would bring a car further into the intersection of still being, where they're supposed to be, and to be able to see it. The second phase would be on the Pangea side, whether we decided to move forward with that or not. There has been many questions about, and some horrible rumors that we're gonna change in front of Pangea is the two-way traffic again. That was never been a discussion, so just make sure everybody knows that. That's not even in the phase of what we're thinking about. So there it is. I don't, how we go about it. We're gonna start, if everybody likes it, we'll get some budget numbers on it, and I know.
I will say that, the engineering, we specifically asked, and they have modeled however they do it, the type of vehicles that would be coming through there, delivering food delivery trucks and the fire truck, and they have modeled that all of those size vehicles can get around this corner. They may get on part of that mountable curb that would be opposite the library or whatever, but they can make their way through that intersection, larger vehicles.
Right. And that's it will be a concrete surface, so it'll be drivable, just like our, so the sidewalks pretty much will be where they are. It's just bringing the illusion of the intersection a little bit tighter. So, however the board feels, we go through that. I mean, we're, middle of summer at best for that project.
What I thought we could do is, if this board sees fit to go ahead, I can get this size or even larger of these designs and put them in various places around town. We could put them in the businesses down by that intersection, the library, the post office here, and in the information centers that Joe Churchirillo built, those kiosk things, have them on the website and things like that. Yes.
How would this dovetail with what I presume is another project that is in Bennington at the Silk Road, Bennington College?
The peanut?
Yeah, so the peanut, I mean.
Yeah, there's two completely standalone projects.
Right, my question, I guess, is I can imagine that when peanut's under construction, some of us might find a different way to go around whatever's going on there. If we also have construction at the other end in the village, it might be worth trying to make sure we see.
Yeah, I don't
think the project.
I don't see that as a huge concern. I think if you're gonna go around it, you're gonna go Mechanic Street, Overley Road. It's right there. If you're, most of the work is going to be on West Street, not on Water. But it's construction season, if that is taken into consideration, then put that project away and we'll see you next year. But maybe next year, because that peanut's gonna take 1 or 2 years.
Yeah.
So, you know what I mean, it's just, it's, I appreciate the comment and the thinking about it. It's, I think we're further enough away, unfortunately, anybody that's going to leave North Bennington is either going to go over one of the wooden bridges.
Yeah.
They're gonna use Mechanic and Overley, or they're going out to Shasberry, or they're gonna have to deal with that. You know what I mean? And we're just a little piece of that.
Anything in mind to help with the traffic calm?
So this is not going to be an inexpensive project. And we've been told by a couple of sources that there is unlikely to be any grant of any sort to help us with this. So we have to also keep that in mind. I saw Art's hand.
No, we're not.
Otherwise, I'm not a resident of North Bennington.
No, please.
I do have. Norm, there is a DI right in front of the library, and it doesn't show it here. And I know that when you go down through there with a trailer, you always have to go wide, otherwise you're gonna bang into that DI. But it doesn't show it. Is that gonna be addressed?
No,
Sorry.
no, the only, the DI will be addressed, the one up on
Yes,
West Street a little bit, because we're not going into Water Street at all.
Gentlemen, what's a DI?
Drop inlet.
Okay.
There's a great.
It dips.
It dips and you're.
Got it.
And you try to avoid it, especially with the trailer around.
He's saying it through the not here.
Yeah, that's a real, tough intersection, and without really destroying that,
Yeah. Okay.
it's just,
And my,
it's really hard.
one other comment is that I hope somebody's gonna get the state permission or get approval by the state that this all conforms to what they have for turn radiuses and all that sort of stuff. The intersection of the bank, the state was totally surprised that it was done. They said they never would have approved it if they'd seen the drawings before.
Our understanding is that the engineers have already done that, but that is worth a note to verify.
That's one of the reasons we went with a concrete base instead of a grass, so, because it's gonna get driven. I mean, the trucks there's not a lot of truck traffic in there, but there's the trucks that deliver stuff to the school, the food, primarily, and that's, so they'll have it without any ground, but they're gonna have to use it. Now, we've learned a lot of lessons from this first one, and, we will certainly, hopefully not repeat them.
Okay, thank you.
If there are interested people either here in this room, trustees, or in the listening public that would like to have a meeting at that site and discuss this design and kind of look at it, we can certainly make that happen. Because this is something that was done in response to, over several years, a number of people asking for something to happen down at that intersection. There is also, has been some discussion of putting in a speed bump or a speed table as you come into that intersection. I think when we talked about it in a subgroup, that is going to push off. That's not going to be part of either phase 1 or phase 2, because that just creates a whole bunch of other problems.
Shasbury's gone through that too.
Okay,
We've discussed that on House Avenue.
yeah,
The road crew or the
Yeah.
road foreman just says that you're a nightmare.
yeah. I think Norm would agree with that.
Yes, I definitely agree with that.
Yeah.
I have a question about, Prospect Street and the fact that there is not now, but also not in the future, going to be a crosswalk, over here. And I'm wondering whether, because when I go to Pangea, I go across here and then I go across here, but people coming fast around that corner might not see, people. So has anybody looked at the idea of putting a crosswalk in there?
I guess you can bring your paper over here and show me where it is.
I got you.
It's the one right at, there is a crosswalk, but you have to walk down. You have to walk down past that intersection.
Yeah, well, good.
So you
Yeah.
have to go here.
I have, if this drop line is, yeah, it doesn't zero on this drawing. And it, I think you found, there's line.
We can get that, we did discuss it.
Ideal is to have it here.
When we did the walkthrough, but
To have one, there's no square, we have to redo this whole.
They,
Thing to make it.
everything that, when we did the walkthrough, it's critical on the big drawing.
Yeah, that's only that, that's only really.
What's the red line? Got it.
So, but listening,
No, just a work area, that's all.
folks, the listening
All the
public
original road.
or those taking notes may need to know what this discussion is.
Right.
Can you summarize that? Or,
Yeah, so Lori, I don't know if you looked at this, but Scott was just talking about whether it would be logistical to put a crosswalk on Prospect right across from the Pangea entrances. And
To the fountain part, and
yeah,
that's a sort of bank, it's down.
and
Could it be done? Yeah, that would be a whole.
essentially Norm said, because we're adding the one that goes across Water Street and there's one that is farther down towards Mechanic, that those make it available and that it would be very difficult to put a fourth one in or a fifth one in this case.
and as far as the drop inlet, we have big drawings that are like this size, and I believe they're all noted on them because I know we discussed it in the meetings, and I know it was pointed out because Norm had questions on it. So if people want to look at that, I have them in the back. We can hang out and take a look at the big drawings. Or I will happily send anyone who's interested the PDF that you can print out this size, but I can't print out bigger, but it would have those on if you wanted to expand it open, so.
Just from a historical perspective, the, that DI has been a problem forever. When we did the major, stormwater drain that cut right across, right through underneath the road there in front of Pangea, it was initially placed even worse than it is now. But Art, I totally understand. That thing is like hitting it's not good, but it's the low spot right now in the road. So I don't know what the thought is. And you said that this project is not going to address that, or is it going to get moved up the street a little bit, or what?
No, that drain staying right there, we're not working on that side of Water Street, in this concept drawing, right here. There's nothing, you know, you're good, if you, in turn, you know, somebody wanted to, you know, lift that or something, we certainly look at it. I mean, it's never been brought to my attention before.
Does it catch?
It's a bomb, I mean, it certainly is, I get it, and, you know, when the trucks drive through there, there's no room. You know, that intersection is very, very small, and we had to won our battle with, one of the local architects, that curve would have been 2 feet even closer to the road, so.
But what the proposal here is to actually make the intersection smaller.
The proposal is make West Street smaller, West Street and Water Street, even though they intersect, we're not working on Water Street, we're working on West Street.
So that the Pangea side is next phase 2, or like,
That would be correct,
If even desired to go there.
but that's 180-degree help, we don't, that's on the other side of the street, it's not even close. At that point in time, we'll go down and look at it next week or this week.
I do think that people who are interested
I would like
should, should do that. So my suggestion is send an email to the info@villagenorthbennington.org, anyone who's interested, and we will arrange a time, or call Norm and we'll arrange a time to have a group do that.
Right, if it's a huge issue, we can cut the blacktop and knock the top off and.
Yeah.
And resize it, but you gotta remember, there's not enough room for 2 cars and anybody else, so that would be, you know, traffic lights or something for quite a while, you know, at least a day, 2 days, you know, until everything got put back together. It's not gonna be an easy thing. We get maybe a road plate, you know what I mean, but it's.
Maybe that's our traffic calming, just the DI.
Has
I
been.
get it, you know what I mean, and then, you know, you come through there and you wanna move over, you know, then the cars coming and then the kids and stuff like that. Yeah.
Oh, and the other thing that, was part of this design, but none of, this is all concept at this point, is putting one of those flashing speed signs as you come up Water Street into the village, much like is in the town of Shaftesbury.
One of the permanent ones.
Yes, one of the permanent ones.
Up to a power pole.
Yeah, yeah. And so that will at least help alert people.
And will all three of these crosswalks have the light, the push button where the yellow light flash?
You know, could we add to our system? I think you can keep piggybacking on them, so they'll all work. At the same time, right now, no. And that there's another 15 grand on top of that.
All right, so no
They're
light.
about $7,000 to get them match set, so.
Yeah, so the two new crosswalks will not have.
There's only one new crosswalk, the other one is already existing. The one that goes across West Street to go down Water Street is already existing. And the third one on the Pangea side of the street won't even be resurrected until the Pangea side is done. Because you have to have somewhere to go.
Gotcha,
Until
I see what you mean.
that is dug out, that won't even be there. But, you know, that could be after we recoup from the first one and go through the winter and the next year budget.
And we can
Put them in.
do traffic studies and things like that and see
No, I
the
like that, that's
effectiveness.
good.
The other thing, much as I like those push button, flashing signs, people have to use them. And
Right.
people don't. So $15,000 for an optional possible, maybe I'll push it. Maybe we need to think about that.
Okay, so what do we need tonight? Do we need a motion on this?
Motion to get an estimate.
No, I don't, I think you just have to, I thought the original plan
Yeah.
was just to educate people on the idea and then bring it to, the annual meeting and say, what's everybody think? And, you know,
Leave it out for public comment, put it around town, let people put their, comments in, because this was a project that came from residents in town that are interested in looking at something. So I think before we run around and even get additional estimates or do any additional work, we should let people
mull
mull it over and put their thoughts in here.
And you should have the larger plan.
Yeah, you should just have a bigger copy of that
Right.
exact thing, or point out money more. I mean, you said in front of you, you can see it.
I want to comment that we have a Hillary on email, and Hillary believes that people, especially the kids, do use the push buttons. Thank you for that, Hillary.
I do see them flashing often when I'm down there.
I use it every time I go across.
Yeah, I do.
But when you're driving, or people are going across without, so.
So we're still at the stage of information gathering, because at our annual meeting, we can get some input, but there's no action that can be taken, right?
Right, right. It's just
There's
people to think about it.
Yep.
Okay, well, we'll start putting this around. We'll have it available for the annual meeting. I can bring the bigger documents if anybody wants to take a look at them. And we'll follow up with a couple of questions, especially the turn radius by the state. We'll make sure that that question is answered. Any other questions or concerns that Norm would have, or that we in here listening in have for Norm?
I appreciate the work the highway department did, keeping the roads clean. We're,
Yeah, everyone online was constantly commenting that North Bennington is better than everywhere else.
So probably the last thing that we need to talk about is, we're doing a lot of little projects. There's sidewalks is a humongous, thing. We're doing way more diggy dirt work. We need a roller. We need a roller that vibrates, smaller one.
What is,
It flattens surface, like when you put
Oh.
gravel in and you go over it. We constantly rent them. It's kind of, you know, we need to buy one.
what's the price tag on a roller?
Well, 30, 40, thousand, found a decent used one the other day for 5,400 and then one for 45. 100, we don't need a brand new one. We don't need the $30,000 one. You know, someday I'll go after that when I can sell a bunch of surplus stuff again, but you know, right now we really need to, do stuff, and we're not doing these little sidewalks that you see in front, you know, the church. I mean, we're doing 500 feet, and I'm pretty proud of our group. We're doing a real good job at it, but you know, we need to get some equipment that will help us, again, patch potholes. There's other things that we can use, and we constantly do things in the 1950 technology, and you know, we need to move up, and
If we had one, are our surrounding municipalities, do they have one, or would they perhaps?
well, Bennington has one.
Share?
We borrowed it quite a bit,
Okay.
and as they're busy, it's
Yeah.
harder to get, and, you know, I know Shaftesbury does not have one,
Well, maybe
But-
we can share with them. Maybe we can lend it to them on occasion.
oh, we can certainly work together, you know what I mean, I would honestly tell you, I'm not a huge fan of box shared equipment.
Okay.
I would if we were gonna buy a brand new one.
Okay,
You know, but used stuff is a little temperamental. You know, we do a ton of things. Tomorrow, I happen to expect to see 2 Shaftesbury vehicles in our town working. Well, I'm doing something else, but you know, next 2 weeks, so our road spot, we'll be sweeping over there. You know what I mean? And we'll use the Vector truck and they do things. I mean, we partnered for years, and we have
yeah,
the highway departments have a great relationship.
Yeah.
I mean, they just open and close the fountain with me, and, you know, so, you know, we certainly use it with them, yes. You know, again, we're looking at, I think a decent used one would be great.
Mhm.
You know, if we're gonna start partnering and sharing and owning, then I would say we gotta go with a new one with a warranty, and
well,
you know what I mean,
let them,
but I think that's so far out of our realm right now.
what?
So what did you say the used one costs?
I had 2 of them right now that I've been looking at, and one is 5,400 and one is 4,500.
Oh, okay, so I heard that is 54,000.
No. Oh, yeah, we can spend, you know, we're talking about a little 36-inch, this is the machine that goes on the sidewalk, right?
Okay.
This is the little one for us. When we do some pothole patching, you know, we're out there with the stick going bang, 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 I would be able to roll it. You know, a lot of things that we do would be better.
Seems
You know.
reasonable to me.
But, you know, it's something I looked forever and ever on my site.
Mhm.
I just can't.
Yeah.
I just can't come up with one. You know, but there was a couple of things that we were after. And if there was, I wouldn't have been asking, I would have ordered a brand new one and been done with it.
Yes.
You know, I'd make it by the store, but.
Makes sense to me to get a used one, try it out, and then we could work into our long-term budget schedules and see how we do that.
Yeah, I don't know if if this village would ever need to buy a brand new one.
Yeah.
I could see, and, you know, those are things that don't get used a whole lot.
But
When you need them,
replacement,
you need them.
replacement even of a used one, we could
Yeah.
work into that schedule.
We could collaborate with Shaftesbury and share it, right?
Well, Eric's not on the board anymore, but he's very well respected in that community.
Shaftesbury doesn't do a lot of sidewalks by themselves,
No,
but they would try to use it for patching
absolutely.
asphalt.
If you're looking for a motion, I'd be happy to make that motion to empower you to go up to $5,500 for a used machine.
Second.
Any questions? Thumbs up there for Matthew, so all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Anything else? All right, moving along.
No,
Uh,
it
Yeah,
says
one
that
question.
we might have had the Church Street property owners tonight.
well, they were invited by letter and
Yeah.
Norm has,
The only, conversations that I've had with the Church Street properties, I've had with, Mr. Becker, met him offline, an outing we were both at, and we wanna sit there and talk, cause he knows he's gonna lose some of the driveway in front of his house. Cause it's like everywhere, it is a dual residence, so, I'm certainly giving two. I
Mhm.
think it's fair, and then the house, I forget the lady's name, but it's right, the one right next to the school. She was concerned about a telephone pole, the power guy made her, she's at ease with that. But the only thing that I didn't know, and she brought it to her attention, and she sent it to us, so the White House, right, if you're
Yeah.
looking at school.
Carrier, I think is the name.
Okay,
It used to be Carrier.
Used to
but anyways, at some point in time, they divided that lot. And there is another building lot next to it
be. Oh.
in there, and it's kind of small.
Oh,
It is.
so we have to arrange for.
She asked if
something
we would
Yeah,
make sure that we put a thing down there, and I asked her, I said, well, if you could, because again, on my tax map, it's not separated.
yeah,
She gave me a copy of the deed and the book and the drawing and, and the recorded in land records, so, yeah,
Okay.
and other than that, she has been very happy that, it's ecstatic that we're gonna put in the sidewalk.
Oh, good.
And, just wants that for future reference. I don't think I would guess in her lifetime, it'll never be developed, maybe just someday, And I think it's a lot better to do it as we build it than like the Masonic Temple, when they went by, and then it was for years, it was always, can I put one in, can I not, this, that. So when we're going by, we just.
Yeah.
We just make a little.
and we can bring this, sketch to the annual meeting as well.
Yeah, see that.
And other than that, so, that's the only contact that I've had.
What about that big tree? I think it's in the same yard.
I think that big tree's gonna take it hard, but I don't think she's very attached to it, by the looks of what she is, or with our conversations. We are staying as far away from it as humanly possible. The old sidewalk was actually closer to it. Salt material, and it was dirt, so it went down the root. But, I really think that big tree is gonna take it hard. When we get to that point, we might decide that it's time to take it down before it becomes a problem. It might be out of our right of way, it's not our tree.
Yeah.
So, but, we're gonna go through that. They say the roots are as big as the canopy, right? So, if that being said, they're already in the blacktop. Right?
Yeah.
So,
I looked at that.
but,
You have an email on this, like a month ago or so.
Oh.
But I can make more copies.
but we can't get any more further away from that unless we
Yeah.
start stealing the road. That's crazy. So once we get through that, probably our next little thing is, we're really gonna try to go on the other side of School Street where those terrible steps are. And this summer,
Oh, yeah.
get them out of there. It will not be ADA compliant. There's no way we can make it that way.
Just because it's too slow.
That's right. And then, but we're gonna set ourselves up for, again, maybe in the next years to tie that other piece that goes up by the school. We'll make it flat,
Mhm.
and then we'll bring it up gradually. And it'll be a lot easier for plowing, because we get to that spot and then we stop.
Yeah,
Then he's gotta back up, and that sidewalk tractor, that doesn't back up that easy when it's real narrow. So,
sounds like a good idea.
but our goal, as we stated again, was, we got a couple grants that we gotta tie up. We did one earlier. That's the one on Wellens Road, so that frees up this whole year. we're waiting on the one for, College Road and that stuff, and that will be, that's probably a couple year thing, so that will be next year's, project, we do some preliminary work like we did on the last one. But, our first project that we're going after is the College Road, or excuse me, the Church Street,
Mhm.
and then do some paving, and what we're looking at to pave this year is River Road and the little section of Park Street that, they got through the BFOA and just got pretty much destroyed.
The south end.
Yeah, and then that ditching that we're gonna do, so. Meeting with actually a couple contractors tomorrow, we'll get some bids on those and then, Hall Street, it's not out of our realm, but, the water department's gonna work on that this year.
Okay.
And then we have to sit down and decide where we wanna focus and deal with those.
And then do we need to decide on fencing and trees on Wellingfield?
Yes.
Okay.
Yep, and then we've got, 80 is the guy that does fencing for just about everybody around town. We fix our brow bar and everything else, and, so he's gonna shoot his price to put a fencing, and then there's some talk about planting some fruit trees in the town. And that's a great spot.
Yeah.
You know what I mean, to go through and people can see them and, I think that's a real
Yep.
decent location to plant. The only thing is the ground is harder than hard. That's all the spoils from a dam or something come out of that, so you'll have to, Ron knows what it is, we'll dig a hole, but, it's, might as well plant it in the rock cut. That's what the ground is there.
Oh, well, we'll try. We'll see what we can do.
I can give you some, horse manure for that.
All right.
Anything else? Thank you, Norm.
Thank you.
Any
Very
questions?
comprehensive
Well done.
report.
Okay.
Thank you, sir.
Okay. Let's move right to, well, quickly, DRB. We'll come back to water and fire.
We do have a meeting. It is not next week, it is the week after, because next week is our town/village meeting.
Is there a date on that?
What's
So we could announce, I
Thank
didn't
you,
bring my
thank you.
phone.
Oh, yeah, he's right there. You were hiding.
325, meeting 325. DRB, those are,
On the calendar, it's on the web, it's posted on the windows, posted
Yep.
in the post office, it's posted in the.
okay, so anybody interested can find the information. And move to the planning commission. Kim,
Okay,
all yours. Feel free to talk from there or come up here, whatever is your comfort.
so we've been working for 2 years or so on the two documents, the village plan and the land use development regulations. And we've presented those to you previously and given you summaries. What we'd like at this point, and we held off on approval at the last trustees meeting because we wanted to make sure that those parcels which were redesignated to different districts had an opportunity to speak to the planning commission and give their comments. We held the planning commission meeting, we sent them letters, we held a planning commission meeting and no one showed up from those parcels. So, we decided that we would send a second letter and say it's an icy night and, we just want to make sure that, if anyone has comments, that they have the opportunity to air them. And additionally, we have provided a Zoom connection for that next meeting, which is on the 19th.
I believe 17th, I think. I don't remember. 19th, thank you.
Wednesday.
So,
Yes, it's Wednesday.
Wednesday. So, I don't know how you'd like to proceed, but, we still seek the trustees' approval to begin the process of adoption. And I have a sheet here which sort of maps out the steps. We don't necessarily, the state does not recognize that we need this approval to go forward, but Planning Commission feels like it's only wise to have the trustees on board before we go through the process of bringing this before the people. As a result of changes that have gone on, we need to finalize the table of contents and appendix. Then we need to send copies of the document, freeze the contents, and send copies of the documents to our neighboring municipalities, to the regional commission, I think there are 3 or 4 recipients.
And anyone else who requested the document.
Yeah, from an organization.
Yes.
And then we need to publish a notice in the newspaper and provide notices at least in 3 locations in the village. Then we need to wait a minimum of 30 days before we have a public meeting. We need to warn that meeting 15 days in advance. And then we hold a regularly scheduled warned planning commission meeting. And have it open to the public for that comment. Once that occurs, and unless there is a great outpouring of comment, then we will forward the documents to the trustees. At which point they enter into their own process, and the clerk can lead you through the steps that you need to take. But we hand it off, and that begins your process. We've prepared supplemental documents to increase the skids for adoption by the state. There is a state required report, which is 5 questions, which I've already answered. They really are not applicable to us, so it's easily answered. And then we have a spreadsheet for all the changes that came with Act 47 and show exactly where in the regulations we have satisfied the requirements. And then the same thing, we have a separate spreadsheet for Act 181, all the changes they requested, and we have that exactly where they can find those specific comments or revisions to our document. And then we'll send them a copy of the newspaper notification, and then the clerk will need to fill in forms for this. Callie Fishburne of the ECRC has already sent those forms to us, and so again, the clerk will need to fill those in with dates and attestations that we've done all the necessary steps. And then it goes to state and find out what's going on. So that's a review of that item on the agenda.
And again, we just simply are looking for the trustees to approve going ahead with this lengthy process. Do you need a motion?
No, I'll make it.
I was asking if we needed one, or if we're just saying, yes, proceed.
But I think we ought to have.
I think we ought to have a motion.
Okay.
I'll make a motion.
I'll second it.
We
All right.
give approval to continuing the process. The
That's-
steps that you mentioned.
Excellent. Yeah, thank you. And Matthew seconded that. Assuming there's no other questions by the trustees, are we all in favor? Aye.
Definitely.
Yes, okay, so, we're all Thank you for that.
It's just kind of a magnet focus.
Yes, it is. Yes.
Get it forward.
The next thing that we.
Can I ask a quick question?
Sure.
Yes, certainly.
If a resident objects to the change that's being proposed on their property, what is the process that they need to go through?
They need to come before the planning commission and, express their concerns.
And the 19th is their opportunity for that, or there is that's also that 30-day waiting period. My question is, at what point do residents whose properties are affected no longer have the ability to say anything, like, so that they're well informed about their rights?
They continue to have the ability to change, the feeling of either the planning commission or the trustees.
Yes.
So they are not restricted from, there being a change. The change cannot occur during the last 15 days before a meeting, though. There can be no changes during that period, but they can show up and it can be changed at that meeting or subsequently by either the planning commission or the trustees.
And a person that has a question, because this came up just today, a resident has had a question, but is not going to be in town, on the meeting, the upcoming meeting. And that resident is going to be sending an email outlining her questions to the commission. So it's not just, you must only show up at that one meeting. There's ways to get in touch. Our emails are available, and questions can be answered at any time. Does that help?
Does that answer your question, Lauren?
No, that was Hillary.
Oh, Helen.
Yep. Thank you.
Thank you. And feel free to, if you hear, because you are on that commission, if you do hear of folks with questions, encourage anyone to come and ask and learn.
Okay. Next item, we're talking about the reservoir dam meeting. Tyga Christie is still trying to schedule that. We have given her virtually an entire week to schedule that within at the end of March. I've not heard from her yet about a successful.
Is this the meeting with, V-Trans?
V-Trans and the dam safety program.
Oh, okay.
We were really hoping to hear this week, because that invitation has been out now for probably almost 2 weeks.
So, the next item is the watershed engineering study grant. This was, something that was discussed with the Bennington County Conservation District. And they suggested that there might be a grant to study the watershed. And we thought, that would be a good basis to have engineering knowledge about the watershed as we approach various solutions to the threat of the dam. And so I went to the annual meeting of the Bennington County Conservation District, and represented there was the federal agency that supports the district with monies and sets their priorities and so forth. And that's the Natural Resources Conservation Service, NRCS. And the discussion for 2.5 hours was largely about the decimation of the programs by the federal government and So, excuse me. So, just as a heads up, the typical organization of these meetings is to set local priorities. The NRCS normally allows the local entities to set their own priorities and then they'll review them. So what I learned was a lot of things that are peripheral to the question, which is about the dam. One is that logging in the national forest land is now much more available to industry due to this new administration. And this may result in greater runoff, greater erosion, and therefore contribute to flooding and the degradation of water quality in our area.
Siltation.
And the Regional Planning Commission may be getting less money. Head Start is not currently being funded. Children's Support Services may not be funded. Clean water initiatives are not being funded. The historically underserved is being eliminated. Climate smart initiatives are hastily being renamed to preserve funding. The American Climate Corps is being terminated. There's a chestnut tree facility that's being shut down, and the feds are not honoring the $500,000 due for work that's already been completed at that facility.
Well, that's penny wise, pound foolish.
Local funding for the district is being held up currently, but they hope to get some monies. They also reported that 80% of the fertilizer used in the United States comes from Canada. The district said that they really would like our part of the state to have a farmers alliance. Every other area of the state has one, and they felt like that was really needed. They said the likelihood for federal support for watershed grant for our village seems remote. And that's what I learned at that meeting.
No. None good news. Mike, I wonder, when we were listening to some of the meetings about the act changes, the two act changes, they were talking, the state, if I recall, wants to keep a certain amount of forested land as forested land and keep contiguous forests, even if on private property. Can that still be done, or is the federal opening up of forested properties, will that override what the state is trying to do?
Well, that depends on the National Forest Service person who's at the head of Vermont's National Forest, Green Mountain National Forest. And apparently she's very approachable, and that could be discussed with her, but while it's in the future, potentially, for logging, the forest is really not prime.
Okay.
And it will take the logging companies multiple years to be able to marshal a cut. Here.
Okay.
So they did not think it was imminent.
Somebody was
Any
thinking,
significant deforestation in New England. this is all about the west and maybe
Okay.
the east. Yellow pine and, you know.
Yeah, our
It's-
particular forest is not particularly.
Okay,
Appealing.
Yeah, lucrative.
okay.
Nevertheless, they have the ability to.
Hardly.
release them.
Did Michael have any, thoughts on a way forward for us studying the watershed?
No,
No.
no,
Okay.
it was, I was very peripheral to the meeting because it's all about
The farmers.
agriculture,
Yeah,
farming
Okay.
and development of land
okay,
although their number one issue is flooding,
yeah.
they're really not focused on our issue.
Art Whitman still in the meeting or did he go home?
He's left.
And I can get his perspective on from the local farming community, but
Yeah, that would be interesting. Well,
So, that was what was on the agenda.
Thank you for attending. That sounded like a really helpful meeting,
Yeah. we can see.
if not gleeful.
Yeah, he was present.
yeah. So March 19th, if you're right here, is the
No.
planning commission meeting. Public is always welcome to attend. Okay, what else do we want to talk about?
She could call you with you.
All right,
What's next?
we are going to talk about old business. The annual meeting. I had a couple of things to talk about with the annual meeting. One is, just the reminder of the meeting, which is Tuesday,
The 18th.
the 18th at 7:30 in the evening at the Village School Auditorium.
That's next Tuesday.
Next Tuesday, thank you. Tim Newbold and Alyssa Del Tufo will be doing, some presentations after all the regular meetings, so we will alert our moderator that there will be some other business to be discussed.
Moderator is John Mulvey.
Yes, I believe that's the case.
I think he'll know at
Yes.
least one of us.
Yes. Now, there was a question that came up at one of the school meetings, but has also been asked in a village meeting before, and that is whether the village permits, changes to line item changes to the budget in the village annual meeting. Well, our charter says nothing about it. Our charter talks about the vote by ballot for municipal positions, officers, but it doesn't. I did speak with a, attorney, thank you, Steve, an attorney for the state election office. He reminded me several times in the discussion that he cannot represent us. He cannot give a legal opinion. He can give a layperson's opinion and advice. His feeling was that unless we wish to take it up with, which we may, with the village attorney, that typically budget matters are done not by Australian ballot, but questions can be asked and line item adjustments can be made if the documents that the village relies on approves that. So whether we have bylaws that speak to how the budget is voted and approved, I don't know. Statute is difficult to read because one statute says one thing and then another statute seems to say something else. But the attorney I spoke to felt that municipalities that vote by ballot, like we did on the 4th, and the town of Bennington, that's the way they do their voting, but then there's a whole series of meetings with that. So I guess my long-winded question is, do the trustees feel that we should continue with the way the village has done it, at least in the years that I've lived here, which hasn't been decades, by just a floor vote up or down on the whole thing? Or should we entertain people who have line item questions and changes?
Are you referring,
Go ahead.
are you referring to like, organizations that might come in at the last minute and say, well, we want $1,000 here, or it's concerns about a particular budget item like highway? Or,
It would be a resident of the village coming and saying, for example, I don't think that $5,000 is enough on this line. I think we should go to $6,000 or $7,000. It would not be an outside organization coming in and saying, I'm petitioning for this organization, because we do have a process for that. It would just be things that are already in the budget that a resident might be able to ask a question about. And Matthew, you and Lori have been here longer, certainly longer than I have, but maybe the others of you here know.
I don't think it's an appropriate way to do business. I mean, because everybody can say something about any budget line item. If they have a concern, that concern should have been given to the Board of Trustees prior to the annual meeting. When budget going on, there are agendas up all over the place that say when budget meetings are, and it's a little too late at that point.
I did make that comment to the attorney that I was speaking to. He felt that a deep review of statute might not say that's sufficient. I am not arguing one way or the other for this. I'm just simply trying to answer the question that a resident has had now twice.
So that's going to take some time, I think. I mean, for you to answer that resident, you can say, we will certainly look into this, but it's going to take some time.
Okay, so do you want me to contact the village attorney, or shall I just let it go this year and see if the question comes up again? Because I know the village has approached this vote a certain way, probably for as long as anybody remembers. And I don't know if it's worth upturning that apple cart.
I don't know whether we should do that within a week of the,
Well, we can't do it this week,
yeah.
but that is.
I'd leave the onus on the individual that's posing the question to do the legal work to determine whether that's something they can do. Because we've been following what we thought to be
Okay.
the statute. So, I mean, I'm not against that idea in whole. I mean, but Lori's right, oh, you didn't pay attention until, you realize there was a meeting, and you can go in there and
I do wonder if I'll get to you in just a sec. Actually, let me let Chris say his piece.
I was gonna say the same thing Matt has said. There are meetings set up for people to come in and discuss line items. If they didn't do it, why would they come to the town meeting to do it?
Because they finally read that when it went out.
But
Yeah,
they see it every year.
All I'm trying to do is make sure that if there are provisions in statute that municipalities are supposed to follow, one of the pieces of advice at the end of the conversation was to look at an amendment to bylaw and/or charter to clarify how village budget voting proceeds. Because when it is not, according to this gentleman, when it is not codified in one's charter, then it falls to statute, and state statute can allow that.
Yeah,
So I'm simply bringing that question up. I don't think we're gonna answer it tonight. I had no intention of doing any other legal work, certainly myself. I tried to look at some things in the Vermont statute, and it's kind of difficult to understand, at least for me.
This came up at the Shasberry town meeting.
Yeah,
Where there were some budget concerns on the paperwork. And if that was the question posed to the floor, I wonder if Naomi looked into the legalities of that, maybe you
I can check with,
talk with her about it.
yeah,
It was an interesting.
okay. Well, I do not think this is something that we could solve today or before next week. Just know that the question's been out there, and it's not a clear yes or no answer. The
I like-
other
I like that they push the button.
Yeah. The other thing that, as I was looking and researching, our statute states that, or not our statute, our charter, that the Board of Trustees shall annually, at its first regular meeting, elect from its number a chairperson, vice chairperson, and it goes on about the fire chief and 2 assistant chiefs. Then it says the next sentence, the Board of Trustees shall hold their first regular meeting within 3 days after the annual village meeting. So that's not what we've done, at least in the years that I've been here. But the charter says, not we may, we must.
Michelle,
So my next question to you is, then should we change and do this now? And have a first regular meeting 3 days, 2 days, 1 day, however many days after the annual meeting? And if so, that can be warned as a special meeting like now.
in the past, we've had that meeting, at the end of the annual meeting. Of course, it can't be warned, but, we would.
But a special meeting can be warned in 48 hours, I believe, either 24 or 48 hours.
We would do it 10 minutes after the adjournment of the annual meeting.
Would you like me to put out a special meeting notice that this is gonna happen? And the only order of business is to
Lori,
do those?
Yeah, you might as well, because Matthew's correct. We've always done it that way. And we would elect a chair and a vice chair at that time.
Okay.
And,
probably not the fire chief or any of those things that are also included in that. But yes, probably in the future, that ought to actually be included in the annual meeting warning that says, following this meeting,
yeah, I agree. That's a good idea.
we'll
Yeah.
reorganize and elect and do whatever they're supposed to do by.
Yeah. Because as far as the chief and the 2 assistant engineers of the fire department, I suppose if the board decides they want to continue that meeting for those appointments, that can be done.
Yeah, we could do that, right?
But at least there should be, and in the few years that I've been here, we haven't done that at the end of the annual meeting. So that was kind of news to me when I was looking at this.
Yeah, seems like we could do the board reorganization.
Yeah.
We don't
Okay.
necessarily have to do.
So I will put out a special meeting notice ASAP,
Perfect.
and we'll take care of that. And let's see, what else did we want to talk about? New business, Lori, will you put in the minutes that we had a email approval of the annual clothesline project that the, survivors of abuse will be putting up on the trees by the depot?
Yes.
And that's the only new business that I knew of.
Do we have any citizen comment? No, you're just here.
No citizen comment.
What?
How about we do because we are still a little bit ahead of time, actually right on time. Can we do a 5-minute executive session for the discussion of a personnel matter, premature disclosure, of which could put either party at disadvantage?
Does Lori know everyone was in the meeting?
Yes,
So move.
thank you.
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
I will stop recording. We will do that brief. There will be no votes needed after that meeting, so we will come out and adjourn.